Welcome, everybody. We're live now. Welcome to this Impact Founder Hotseat event. If you're just joining us now, please tell us in the chat where you're joining from. Everybody's been doing a lot of online events the last month, and so you probably know these are best when they're really interactive. So we really want everybody to participate. We had over 160 people register for this event from all over the world, and so we should get some really diverse feedback from just a broad range of perspectives during this event. We have an esteemed panel that I'm going to introduce that's going to provide their feedback, but for the founders who pitched tonight, they want to hear your feedback too. So yeah, please let us know in the chat where you're joining from. My name is Dustin Betts. I'm the content editor at the Founder Institute, and I'm joining today from central Pennsylvania outside of Harrisburg, PA. I want to kick it off here with just a quick agenda. Let us know what we're going to talk about for the next hour. Basically, first, I'm just going to introduce our panelists quickly tonight. And then I'm going to give a really brief presentation, less than 5 minutes, on just best practices that we have at the Founder Institute for delivering an elevator pitch. And then we're going to go right into the pitches. So this is the main content of the event. We had a lot of people, as I said, more than 160 people RSVP. A lot of those founders pre-submitted their pitches. And so we've gotten in contact with a lot of the founders who are going to be attending, let them know we're going to invite them on stage to pitch live. And then at the very end, if you're joining us more last minute or weren't one of those people who were pre-selected, we'll take some audience pitches if we have time to run through as well. So if you don't know who we are at the Founder Institute, we are the world's largest pre-seed startup accelerator. We've now helped launch more than 5,000 portfolio companies across 200 cities around the world. If you're interested in learning more about the Founder Institute, as I said, we're enrolling virtual accelerator programs on all 6 continents virtually. And some of our leaders for programs that are upcoming, currently enrolling, are going to be some of the panelists today. So you'll get to meet some of them from Boston, from Montreal as well. And so, yeah, you can see the whole list of all the cities that the Founder Institute is enrolling in around the world at fi.co/enrolling. And next, I'm going to introduce the panel without further ado. So our first speaker tonight is Paloma Lecheta. Paloma is a board member and co-founder of an organization called We Are All Smart. The website is waas.ninja. They help empower underprivileged Brazilian youth in vulnerable communities to grow their critical thinking and problem-solving skills using technology as a tool. Paloma is also helping entrepreneurs succeed by serving as the program director and regional manager across all of Founder Institute's Brazilian programs for a while now, and now even further helping us manage across all of our chapters in LATAM. Paloma, welcome. You want to add anything?
Sounds great. Thank you, Dustin, for having me here. And it's going to be a pleasure to meet you all today. Hopefully a few Brazilians and LATAM founders. We have applications open all across LATAM right now. And it's a great opportunity for you to practice your English here with us today.
Absolutely. Awesome. Okay, so our second speaker tonight is Ignacio Castro. Ignacio is an entrepreneurial technology professional with a really long track record in his career, delivering on complex project portfolios for global organizations, working with senior executives. He's worked in the US, in Spain, in Europe, and in LATAM as well. Ignacio is also the founder of Get Hackers. The website is gethackers.co, and they're helping augment data science teams with some of the best talent in Latin America. Ignacio has been serving as a director of the Founder Institute Accelerator Program in Boston, helping founders launch and grow businesses with the Founder Institute for more than 7 years. Welcome, Ignacio.
Thank you very much, Dustin, and super excited to be here and to hear the pitches. I saw already some Bostonians in the chat, so welcome and feel free to connect. I'm also original from Costa Rica, so if there's any Costa Rica in the audience, happy to connect as well. And I might actually launch the Costa Rica chapter a while ago as well, and I think it's been relaunched now. So thank you for having me, and excited to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ignacio. Okay, and our third and final speaker by way of introduction is Sergio Escobar. Sergio's tenure includes supporting early stage startups for more than 15 years now across a variety of stages, from inception the whole way to up to growth stage. So he currently runs BCS Ventures, which is a Montreal-based venture capital funds. The website is bcfventures.vc, where he invests in B2B enterprise software startups, seed and Series A, primarily in the US, Canada, and Israel. Sergio is also the managing director of Montreal's Accelerator, Founder Institute's Montreal Accelerator program, and has been recognized for, he's been with us for many years as one of our top program directors worldwide. Welcome, Sergio.
Thank you, Dustin, and delighted to be here with all of you. We also launched a couple of months ago, La Lotte Ventures, which is a sports tech focused venture capital fund at the seed stage. And we're investing across US, Canada, Europe, and Israel. So we have 2 funds and looking forward to see, amazing entrepreneurs across the board. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome, Sergio. Okay, so this is the part where I'm just going to give a real quick run through on like how to deliver an elevator pitch. This is a 1-sentence formula that we use at the Founder Institute. Basically, the error that we see a lot of times with early stage founders is they really try to go into all the details and all the minutia of their company because they're just that they haven't quite refined the offering yet. And so they're talking about a lot of things, using a lot of industry jargon sometimes. This is a 1-sentence formula, an elevator pitch. The concept is you can deliver it while you're riding up with somebody in the elevator. And so it's a 1-sentence formula. And so it basically goes like this, my company, X, my name of your company, or just the idea, is developing a defined offering that will help a defined audience solve a problem with secret sauce. So just to break down the sections, really quick, like defined offering, what is it? Again, avoid the industry jargon, try to, ignore words of machine learning, AI, stuff like that. Is it a mobile app? Is it a website? Is it an e-commerce store? You can use those kind of simple language. A defined audience, right? If you say your defined audience is women, well, that's half the world. So you need to kind of be more specific in the demographic or geography of, who is your defined audience. So if you say stay-at-home mothers who are aged 24 to 36 in the United States, it's a much more specific defined audience. Solve a problem, try to fit this into the 1-sentence pitch, because if you don't solve a meaningful problem, it's probably not going to be a real business that somebody's going to pay for, right? So try to have the problem that you solve in your elevator pitch as well. And then secret sauce is just, what makes you special? Why you? What's your unique sales proposition if you're coming from more of like an MBA background. And so, yeah, that's the 1-sentence pitch formula. We'll have it up while people are actually pitching, so you'll be able to reference it. If you want to kind of dive into more details, there's a bit.ly link at the bottom of all these slides. It's bit.ly/fi-hotseat. And there's kind of a whole worksheet that you can go through to create an elevator pitch like this if you haven't before. Okay, here really quickly, this is an Impact Founder Hotseat. We're going to be hearing from impact companies tonight. We have some extra resources here that I think are just worth mentioning really quickly for impact startup founders specifically, if that's you, kind of what you came expecting to see. And so the main ones, we have this really great tool. It's free to access. You don't need to make an account or anything at fi.co/progress that will help any stage entrepreneur really to define impact metrics that are measurable and tie your impacts to one of the sub goals of the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. So it's just a really cool tool, fi.co/progress. This impact startup thesis exercise kind of goes along with the tool. There's a bit.ly URL for that. I'm going to mention this Pitch for Progress competition. This is an impact startup elevator pitch competition, very relevant to the audience here. The website is pitchforprogress.com. I'll talk about it just a little bit more in a second. Yeah, and if you want to see some more examples of SDG aligned impact metrics, you can see FI's own impact metrics that we're tracking at fi.co/IKPIs, or impact KPIs is the term that we use. And so I mentioned here this Pitch for Progress competition. This is going on right now. The deadline to enter is Friday, so 2 days from now at pitchforprogress.com. It is open to any founder or team making progress on one or more of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And so, yeah, even if you're not a founder who's pitching here tonight, if you have an elevator pitch, that's what this is. We're not looking for video submissions that have a lot of production value. We're looking for elevator pitches, just like you're going to see founders deliver here tonight. So whether you participate or you're in the chat sharing, you can go to pitchforprogress.com and submit your pitch now through midnight Friday Pacific time. And we would be really glad to see your pitch there if you don't get a chance to pitch tonight. yeah, we have really great prizes, really great partner organizations, HubSpot, Shopify, Change Now, and we're really excited about this contest. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to get into the main content of tonight's event, which is our founder pitches. So we have my colleague Felicia is our producer behind the scenes, and she's going to invite each of these founders to come up on and share your pitches, and we'll give feedback. So we're looking for less than 1 minute. You know, try to keep it to one sentence. If you need a second sentence to make the impact clear, still try to keep your pitch under 1 minute, and then you'll get about 2 minutes of feedback from each of our judges. And so they're going to primarily give you feedback on your pitch itself, right? The clarity, the presentation, and the content of the pitch. Then the idea, this business idea valid? You know, what are the potential risks? And then on the impact, does it seem like it's something impactful? Is this impact that's measurable and scalable? And so I'm going to leave this resting slide up while we invite our first founder to come on and do their pitch, and then we'll kick it off from there.
Hi, Dustin. This is Faz Bashi. Should I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead, Faz.
All right, great. Most countries' largest use of antimicrobials is for food animal production, and by 2030, antimicrobial use will grow by 2/3. Antimicrobial resistance affects UN Sustainable Development Goals 1, 2, 3, 8, and 10. My company, Anubis Bio, has developed a patented natural food platform made with eggs and milk, which we refer to as a microbiome cleanser that strengthens and supports companion and agriculture animals' immune and gastrointestinal systems and quickly resolves GI distress, diarrhea from many causes without the use of antimicrobials. Our first product is for dogs. It's called doggystat.com, which is scaling in revenue through a B2C to B model, and signed distribution partners at AmerisourceBergen's MWI Animal Health and a major pet health media group in the United Kingdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Faz. That was great. Judges, please feel free to jump in if you want to go first. Paloma, do you have any feedback for Faz?
First of all, congrats on the pitch. You can see that you practice, you train, and that counts a lot. It shows the respect you had for the time of the mentors that you're meeting and the preparation before. So kudos on that. I do think it's your market is very technical, so I have no idea what antimicrobials are. It's just not my field, so it would be maybe good for you to tell me a little bit more less scientific terms, what it is and what can be applied. You started telling me about food, eggs, and milk, and then in the middle to the end you talked about this is your first product is for dogs, so it got me a little confused. Maybe if you brought that information early on and tell me about the problem you're trying to solve, like the diarrhea for the dog, and that you found a solution for that problem, and focus on the problem and the solution, and then bring me the secret sauce, which is the antimicrobial. It will be better structure in my brain, in my way of understanding your pitch.
Thank you, Paloma.
Ignacio, do you have any feedback?
Yeah, Dustin, I can go next. I think Paloma hit the nail on the head, right? I mean, I think it's very important to know the audience. I mean, to know who you are pitching to, and know if they have the kind of the expertise to understand some of the jargon that you will be using, right? So I would say that, and I think you don't, when you're pitching this to investors, especially, you have to figure out how to dumb it down so that anyone can understand it, right? So make sure that you and again, if you have a scientist, a doctor in the audience, and or is that the purpose of the audience, that you can go as fancy or as complex as you can, right? But make sure that you know the audience. I know that. I mean, having said that, I know that the 1 minute pitch is really hard, right? So that's not easy. So what we are giving you is some feedback, but I guess I in terms of giving you positive kind of feedback as well, I think as Paloma said, you really kind of did it very kind of articulated. You kind of did it in the time that you had. You get the points across. So I think you did a good job. It's just a matter of maybe moving things around making sure that you have kind of the story kind of from beginning to end, trying to make it very simple, very clear.
Faz, congrats for the pitch. I think you have the right tone and you prepared for this. You can see that. So maybe my advice is that you, on the pitch side, you never follow the structure. So maybe that's why you have the problem. So usually it's a problem solution framework. So you started right away with the solution. My solution is this. Okay, but what's the problem? And you frame the problem at the end. So you know that's why maybe you kind of lost some of the judges and the audience. So you have to explain what's the problem. So let me reframe it. Like as you say, for example, do you know that the small dog market is currently, I don't know, $47 billion due to the heavy impact on gastroenteritis, like a diarrhea on small dogs, to the excessive diets from small dogs, and I don't know, some genetic behavior because they are just kind of specific races on that. So then I have an idea that it's a common problem within a specific segment of the dogs, and what's the value of that market. So then, you know, I kind of have a different feeling about what's that. And you never talk about the competition. So what's your secret sauce? The secret sauce is not, it's a patent pending or patented. That doesn't mean anything to me, because, you know, in the corporate VC fund that we have, you know, we're attached to a patent office, which has the corporation. I mean, on average, every single startup company has a portfolio of patents, you know, and most of the patents are conflicting. So what specifically is your secret sauce? Is because your product is 50% less expensive than the competition? Is it because it's kind of 50% more effective than the kind of other antimicrobial drugs or enzymes and so on? So you, I mean, better define what's the problem, explain the market size, explain what's the main differentiator that you have with the competition, and better clear how are you gonna be selling this. You said B2C and B2B. That's like B2B. Are you talking wholesale? B2C, are you doing that through an e-commerce? How are you gonna open retail offices? What's the plan? So it was too much, but congrats.
Yeah, just to kind of reiterate what some of the judges said, I felt the same way. Well, first I want to commend you for tying it back to specific SDG goals, which I think is important. But yeah, I think just kind of reversing the order, take a look at the template elevator pitch, and I think that would help you. I think tying it more at the end, because it feels to me that while as I said, I commend you for linking back the sort of larger framing, you know, within this health context. I think, you know, your go-to-market is this really specific, you know, basically household pets, dogs. I would frame the first sentence of the pitch in your go-to-market much more around that, and then talk about those SDG connections afterwards, because I think that context just made it a little confusing.
Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, Faz. Okay, next, I believe Felicia can invite up. We have Alex Mulvaney. Hi, Alex, go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right. My company, Transform Energy, is developing a radically affordable torrefaction kiln to help the global poor generate many jobs right in their villages and the world reduce carbon emissions. Our special sauce is that we use a micro-franchise business model to empower millions worldwide to use a radically affordable torrefaction kiln. The one sentence explanation is that remote villagers own and operate the kilns, creating jobs while they manufacture and sell a carbon neutral coal replacement.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex. Paloma, do you want to go first again? My first piece of feedback for you, Alex, this is just off the top of the head. I would define torrefaction kiln in the future for those who are not familiar with the concept, because that's quite a technical word. But Paloma, do you want to start with the feedback?
Totally. Yeah, I do not know what that means. So maybe dumb it down for us who do not know, but I got super interested. I would definitely want to talk with you more. So I think you captivated my attention to there's a real problem. You're able to create a financial solution in something that's a clean energy source for those villages and for those communities. Something that maybe I missed and I would love to hear a little bit in your pitch, and you did have like time to add it to that mix, was what stage are you on? Is that only an idea still, or do you already have something going? And how viable that is to actually implement would be one of my main questions.
Yeah, definitely. And Ian, do I have a chance to reply a little bit? Or is this?
Yeah, I was just going to cut you off after we got like 4.5 minutes left. So yeah, you can have some two-way dialogue, but try to keep it short as well. So.
Sorry, I wasn't sure. Yeah, we've got some working prototypes, and we're kind of looking to scale, and it's very viable. The kiln is, you know, radically affordable, so we're going to manufacture them locally all around the world, and the profit margins are pretty healthy also. So I really wish I had more time to share. Thank you so much for those great questions, Paloma. Love to chat more.
Ignacio, did you want to jump in next?
Yeah, so Alex, please help us understand what the torrefaction kiln is in 10 seconds, 15 seconds if you can.
In 10.
You're on mute.
Sorry. In 10 seconds, if you roast wood, just like you roast coffee beans, you increase the energy density. With our process, we turn wood into a carbon neutral coal replacement, or any biomass.
Got it. So Alex, again, similar to the previous speech. I mean, I think making sure that you put that into the pitch, so that the audience understand what you're talking about. Because the moment you mention that term, you get I mean, us as panelists and kind of mentors here, kind of just trying to figure out what it is, and then we lose kind of you lose our attention in terms of the rest of the pitch, right? I think it would be interesting to hear also, especially when you are early stage, and we didn't get a sense of the stage, but assuming you are, what is kind of your initial traction? Kind of, you mentioned that you have some proof of concepts, some initial prototypes. So mention that, and mention, because I mean the go-to market that you have with this kind of franchisees, micro franchisees. I mean, that sounds good, but that's really hard to implement, right? And you're going to have to have a lot of resources to do that. So that also is kind of a challenge if you go and try to pitch that to investors. They're going to be very skeptical of how you're going to do that.
Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, Alex, congrats from the pitch again. I mean, great effort, and I see the baby. So, you know, kudos for being a dad building something for the family. I like that. You know, usually we tell entrepreneurs not to use kind of, you know, specific words to describe, but in this case, it would have been wiser, instead of maybe saying a torrefaction kiln, says an autoclave. You know, I'm an engineer. I know what's an autoclave, but then, you know, it was putting more questions. Okay, but this is not new. You know, it's been like more than 50, 100 years that, you know, we have that kind of technology available. So is it? So on my mind is he manufacturing kind of a specific wood autoclave that he wants to put in the hands of like villagers, and then does he wants to put kind of, he wants to build kind of cooperatives in the small villages, like with the micro franchise thing, and then, you know, and if like the technology, does he has anything innovative with this kind of torrefaction kiln? But he never mentioned that he has a specific process that he implemented, or he's just purchasing the kilns from a random manufacturers and just reselling. So I wasn't sure on where it was located, the secret sauce. Was it the secret sauce on the autoclave? Was it the secret sauce on the business model because of the micro franchise system? Or where it was? I was confused based on those elements. And you know, and you close. I like how you close it. Like, you know, it's gonna be a cold replacement. but again, kind of the same thing as fast. You kind of miss giving me a sense on what's the market opportunity, what's its market size. Do you know that in the US, there is like in small villages across the states, villages spend up to, I don't know, $100 million every year by burning coal. And we're going to be replacing that. So we're going to be cutting the emissions by an estimated amount of this. We're going to cut the cost by doing this. So I mean, keep going, because I think you're up to something, but it was just some elements that it was missing for me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sergio.
Yeah, Alex, I similarly echo a lot of the same sentiments. I really am interested, not just the environmental impact of the physical product, but I think you have, your secret sauce and sort of this worker owner franchise model is also like the more social impact, I guess. And so, just work on tightening, I think, that up and making that a part of your secret sauce. And maybe, as Sergio mentioned, some metrics that sort of speak to the opportunity. But really great job. And thank you for your pitch.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we should have Natalie, sorry.
Hi.
Hi, Natalie.
Hi all. I'm Natalie Bibrek from Fins in France. So my company Fins is developing a web app to help financial development decision makers as foundation, international organization to evaluate and fund underfinanced SMEs for essential to life projects around water, energy, or climate mitigation in Africa or Asia. Did you know that more than 2 billion people don't have currently access to these basic needs? Well, our solution is an extra financial score of risk and opportunities, providing human and environmental data by a collaborative team of 50 data scientists around the world, united for AI for good. With Fins, vital projects in emerging markets are de-risked, guaranteed, and have a measured SDG impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. Do you want to keep the same order going, Paloma, if you're there? If you want to give feedback first?
Sure. First of all, Natalie, congrats on teaching. I imagine English as your second language. It's always an extra challenge. There is something very important to say here. You're a female founder. Founder Institute loves female founders. We have the Female Founder Initiative. So I just want to congrats not only you, but all the other female founder entrepreneurs there in this call. Really important to see you here today, and I'm happy to see you, you all female founders joining us in this call. It was a little bit hard for me to understand. I don't know if you were reading the pitch, but you gave me the sensation that you were reading word by word. It just did not feel like natural in the pitch. So I know that we have the benefit of being in virtual right now, and we can kind of like use extra support help. But it was a little bit hard for me to follow just the rhythm of the pitch. So related to the idea and the business, I think what you're doing sounds like it will be a great impact in this, and if I'm correct, in this small, medium businesses that people will be financing in Africa. It was a little bit hard for me to understand how would that work? How does your business make money in these transactions? And what is the real problem you're trying to solve? It wasn't that clear for me.
Okay, thank you.
I'll go next, Dustin. So Natalie, again, thank you. You guys are doing a great job at the pitches. We work with very early stage founders in general, so we know that pitching is hard, and as Paloma said, right? I mean, reading it is not ideal, but if you have to start there and start kind of reading your pitch, is perfectly fine, right? I mean, it's a way for you to that get used to it and continue to improve it. So don't I mean, just keep doing it, and eventually you will memorize it and you will practice it enough so that you can just do it without reading. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I would say that you also try to, and it's been a similar trend in all the pitches, right? You have to simplify it. And looks like what you're going after is for of these financial institutions, right? I mean, but you are also talking about the problem that you are trying to solve them in terms of finding these opportunities. You also talk about these data scientists. So there was a lot. So it was hard to put it all together at the end, right? So I would say that try to make sure that you know who is your main customer, because these financial institutions is probably who are going to be paying for your service. So those are even though you are going to be benefiting others in these emerging markets, right? But make sure that you make a clear statement of how you are going to help these financial institutions, and what is the challenge that they're facing, right? Besides of what you're going to be providing in terms of benefits in the major markets, but these stakeholders in the financial institutions, what the problem is that they have. I mean, it's really hard to find these projects. I mean, or you cannot find it because, I mean, you don't really know. I mean, they don't have local teams, and they don't know if they are credible or things like that. So try to make sure that you really explain kind of to your paying customer what is the solution that you're giving to them and what's the problem that they're facing.
Okay, thank you very much for your feedback.
Bonsoir Nathalie, toujours un plaisir d'entendre des entrepreneurs francophones. Ici Sergio du Canada, de Montréal.
Bonsoir.
It's always fun to see francophone entrepreneurs. I'm from Canada in the French part, so we have the luxury to also have the language of Molière. So congrats for the effort. I mean, I think it's more that you need to have a bit of more practice on the framework, on how to structure the ideas. And that's pretty much the Anglophone, Anglo-Saxon way of presenting, problem solution. Usually in the Francophone Latin thing is the other way around. So I mean, if you want to capture maybe or talk to investors who are more in English speaking countries, you have to, be more tailored to the kind of problem solution framework, and it's about of practice. I think that you lost a magnificent opportunity to pitch to a banker. I mean, Ignacio he's based in Boston, but he works with he's a C-level executive at the Banco Santander, which is kind of, is the largest European bank with operations in Europe, I mean, US, but also in emerging countries. And if you have followed the problem solution framework, I mean, kind of the same feedback I gave to Faz and to Alex, you have explained, do you know that financial institutions nowadays spend billions of dollars in emerging markets trying to finance huge problems in water or energy, but there is no way for them to accurately report KPIs to the board or to the main organization as a way to improve, the kind of the funding that they provide. So that's the problem. And true things, a SaaS solution where we're gonna have a financial score where the financial institutions we kind of measure this. So then you change it. And in this case, because if you had done your research, you would have found that Ignacio works at the Banco Santander. You will have even put like a little thing, Banco Santander is spending $1 billion to support, I mean, emerging needs and water energy globally. So then Ignacio will say, okay, I don't know what she's pitching, but I have to talk to someone at the bank. I have something for them. So that's kind of the opportunity wise and how you have to turn, this kind of pitch opportunities into a business for you. But besides that, kudos and bon travail, continue.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. And thank you very much for your feedback. For the great feedback. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natalie. Okay, in the interest of time, we're going to keep plowing ahead here onto our next pitch. If Felisa can bring up Brianna Taylor. is next in line, if we can find her in the audience. Hi, Brianna, you're on mute right now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. My company, Well and Hued, is in the process of developing a US-based digital platform to help minority patients who feel unseen and misunderstood get the health and wellness services they deserve by connecting them with medical and holistic practitioners who understand them culturally, physically, and mentally. Currently, in the US, minority patients experience 30 to 40% poorer health outcomes than non-minority patients. So the goal of Well and Hued is to produce healthier outcomes and build generational health for minority communities, one patient, one family at a time. Thank you.
Thank you, Brianna. Yeah, pretty tight pitch you just delivered there. Do you want to go first again, Paloma?
Well, congrats on the pitch. So from my understanding, you're trying to connect patients to health providers, and I'm guessing what you're gonna do is charge some sort of fee or maybe help them book and find. So I think you did have some time to tell us a little bit about what your secret sauce is. I understand that you have a niche that you chose, which is minority patients. But there is a lot of places right now that provide places where you can go and find health professional, holistic cares. I think I feel like something else was missing other than just focusing on a niche, right? So I would try to bring a little bit more to your pitch, the market that you're going after and what is different from the competitors that are out there.
If I could jump back in. So the real value add with Well and Hued is the fact that it's a platform that has both medical and holistic practitioners in the database. So for competitors like ZocDoc, Health in Her Hue, and Hued Co., they only list medical practitioner or medical physicians. They're not listing holistic practitioners. Actually see one for myself, who actually tried to have a meeting with ZocDoc, and they said they didn't feel the need to add holistic practitioners. So I'm trying to make this that one-stop shop for those who are interested in both services so that they can have that option.
Ignacio, feedback for Brianna?
Sure, thank you, Dustin. And Brianna, congratulations. I think this is very interesting. I would say that again, if you think about the flow of the pitch and kind of you can move it around. I think you started with the solution, and then talk about the actual problem and kind of the impact of what the market has in terms of for this audience, right? So I will move around. I'll start with the problem so that it helps frame the pitch better in general. I think this definitely it's a hot topic. I mean, with all the challenges that we having with diversity, I think now with I feel like you miss kind of in mentioning kind of the what's been the case with COVID during the pandemic. I think this what I have heard is that this population it's one of the ones that have been more impacted with access to healthcare, and so if it was bad before, it's just is becoming a nightmare now, right? So I think having that kind of timing of kind of what the current situation is, and then that's a big assumption on my end on my end because I don't really know this space that well, but I feel like that might be something that you missed, and that would be important to mention in your pitch if that's the case.
Hi, Brianna. I mean, congratulations because you practice and we can say it. You are very, I like the tone on how you were presenting. You seem to be a convinced, I mean, I was hearing you and I wanted to hear more just because of your tone or just because you're a likable person, but that's also very important. You were not very serious. You were kind of charming. So I like that empathy that you showed during the pitch, maybe because that's your personality, but that's something that I appreciate. Regarding kind of the pitch structure, I think that you had more time to elaborate. So, you add a comment about the competition, but if you follow the framework, I mean, the extended one, you can have said, unlike patati patata, the competition, we are focused on this, so follow the framework. I really like the fact that you added some KPIs, some measures, 30-40%, because then I had an order to measure things. Okay, like it's like she's solving something for real, and she has at least some kind of order of magnitude on how she's solving this. Now I had a bunch of questions on my head as you were presenting, because my minority is kind of large. I don't know in which city you are, but I live in Montreal. 40% of the people in Montreal, I mean, we're not born in Canada. And you go to Toronto, we're talking to 60 to 65%. So you can claim that Toronto, it's a minority-based city. So what I'm trying to say on that is that minorities seem to be very, very large, very broad to me, because then I was thinking on Ignacio, because he's Latin. And he's based in Boston. So is she focusing, Brianna, maybe on specific communities? Then I was thinking, and I was Googling, what's the market size for the Latin community in the US? There's like 50 or 60 million Latins. Oh, okay. So she was kind of, instead of saying minorities abroad, I'm targeting the Latin community because they have issues with maybe the language barriers to have access to practitioners that understand their language, the culture, and so on. And 50 million people is like a big enough market. It's kind of a country. So then we have understood, maybe it's more on the Black community, maybe it's for indigenous. So a minority is too large. So maybe you have kind of segmented on saying, maybe it's a minority-based platform, but we're going to be starting with this beachhead market, which is and the need from that specific segment of the minority is the language barrier, is the culture barrier, is, I don't know, the racism barrier, what it is exactly, why they have this problem. Is it because, and you never said it. Is it because of the language? Is it because of random discrimination? What? But besides that, I mean, I want to keep hearing about how are you going to solve this? I mean, you were missing elements like the business model. Is it going to be kind of a monthly subscription that the person has to pay? Is it going to be a commission based that the doctor is going to give you a commission and it's going to be free for the consumer? You miss that? Like all of great things there, but so keep going. Good job.
Thank you, Sergio. We got to keep moving on, but Brianna, yeah, really great pitch. Thank you for joining us. I think, your follow-up question kind of clarified some of these things. That was my first reaction, was I was missing some of the secret sauce, but then when you really drove in and said, well, what differentiates us is both the physicians and the holistic practitioners. Yeah, I would definitely try to work that in, keeping in mind that, elevator pitches are really hard to get this level of detail, but thank you so much. Our next founder to invite on stage is James Miller. If Felicia, you can find James. James, you're next.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. My company, Blue Coral Learning, is developing web-based educational interactives to help middle school and high school students learn science, art, and history through bite-sized immersive explorations. All interactives are built on 3 design pillars: flexible, usable, and accessible to reach as many students as possible.
Thank you, James. All right, yeah, he's somebody who at least embraced the brevity. So very good. Thank you, James. Paloma?
Oh, congrats on the pitch. It was very well paced as well, and easy to understand. I do believe education needs a lot of work and rethinking, especially now after the pandemic. I think we got to rethink a lot how we teach our kids, and that's one of my passions. It wasn't clear to me. So this bite-sized immersive experiences, is it physical? Like when you say flexible, like I was imagining like a physical thing that they learn, or is it like a virtual thing?
It's a virtual thing. They're all web-based.
Okay, it's a web-based. Okay, so it's bite-sized informations that are easily digestible.
Yes.
So I think when you were explaining, I was trying to picture how is this delivery of this information. And then I think one of my big question is, who is your client? Who is your customer? Because usually when you're talking about mid school, like high school, is the school gonna buy your software and provide to the kids? Are you delivering that directly to the students through their parents? How are you delivering that kind of information, and who is your core customer, and who are you solving that problem to? I do think there's a lot of schools right now looking for new ways of teaching their kids since they are in virtual, and there is going to be probably a mixed hybrid model in the future. So it wasn't clear to me who's your customer, how do you do that delivery, but yeah, good job. And like I think there is a great market there. There's a lot of ways that we have to rethink our education. There's a lot of opportunity for you to build on top of that need.
So,
Ignacio?
yep. So James, yeah, I think you could have extended your pitch, right? I mean, you keep it short, which is fine, but I think you kind of missed on explaining a little bit more. When you just stopped after just talking about the three pillars, I mean, I was kind of expecting to hear more. So I think that's something that you will need to add around kind of the secret sauce. And then very important is what is actually the problem, right? I mean, we in this virtual world that we live now, and especially with education, with kids being in the school, right? I mean, and we're about to hopefully be transition into an in-person setting going forward, hopefully soon. So you will have some challenges from mentors, investors, whatever, because I mean now the trend and you will need to figure out how this is going to be more relevant in the future, because I guess there's going to be more of a need now for in-person education and kind of tools and how to improve education than remote. I mean, we were in remote for the past year and a half, and everyone is sick of it, right? So I think you will need to really kind of go after trying to figure out what the differentiator is, how you're gonna get to your customers. I mean, as Paloma said, I mean, there's, even though you are kind of in location, at the end of the day, either your customers are going to be schools, which is a difficult market to go to after, or the parents, which is also a challenge given how busy. But again, they have an incentive to find very interesting opportunities for their children, right? So that's about it from my end.
James, on my side, well, first, congrats, because I think you are one of the few people who clearly follow the framework of the structure, and so it's very clear. So kudos for that. Now, remember that the purpose of this kind of short pitch is to get the interest to have a second pitch, right? So that's why it's so short. And based on how you have formulated your first pitch, like as an introductory, kudos. Like after hearing that, my initial reaction is, I want to know more. Please elaborate. Let's have another meeting. So that was the purpose. So you mastered that. So that's kind of, the kind of the 1 minute, the pitch that you have. Now you have to have some kind of 30-second or 1 minute pitch to explain me how would you do that. Is through augmented reality, through virtual reality, to explain me a bit more about, is it gonna, about the market? Is it gonna be, as Paloma said, is gonna be being paid by the schools? They're gonna be paid by the parents? How are you, if it's using kind of VRs, the headsets, who's going to pay for that? Are you going to be using some kind of factoring system? So they have to pay monthly installments because, you know, the headset is expensive for $500. So maybe they have to pay a monthly fee and includes the headset. I don't know. So we're a bunch of questions. And then, of course, I mean, those very positive questions because you trigger the interest. And then, you know, you have the experiences, the immersive exploration experiences, but how often would you produce? So I was questioning myself, like, you know, so what's the database of these kind of experiences? Now, where is he sourcing those experiences? Because once I see a museum, I see a museum, you know? So then, you know, I'm a 7-year-old or 9-year-old kid, I get bored easily. So I watch once, I watch twice, a third, you lost me, you know? So, but based on the framework that if I gave you, kudos, good job.
Yeah, thank you, James. Thank you for the brevity. That is appreciated. Yeah, these follow-up questions are generally a good thing, as Sergio said, because you want to hook, you know, get somebody's attention so that they have additional follow-up questions, and I think that's great. Obviously, everybody's experience with EdTech has been much more personal, I guess, the past year and a half, maybe than before. So, you know, take a grain of salt. But thanks again for your pitch and for your brevity with that and following the format.
If you want to apply to Montreal, apply up. It will be a pleasure to work with you. I had to say it. I like you.
Okay, our final founder who we're going to invite up to pitch before we hopefully get to one or two audience pitches is Varun. And so if Felicia can find Varun and invite you up, you are our last pre-selected pitch.
Yes, I am here.
Perfect. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Great. My company, Kai, is developing a peer-to-peer platform, food platform, which is more of a fresh produce platform to help urban farmers, e-bike users, and urban consumers to exchange their skills and knowledge using blockchain technology and the Internet of Things. We are based in New Zealand, where every year, 1.5 million people spend around about $726 million on fresh produce like fruits and vegetables, which are grown using sustainability and health principles. Also, in 2019, leading grocery retailers in New Zealand experienced a 40% increase in online sales, and e-commerce represented 59% of the supermarket dollar growth. Our solution, the problems that consumers face is knowing where their food comes from and not being able to afford premium organic produce. Urban farmers face problems in accessing local markets, and e-bike users face problems in actually utilizing their e-bike experience for revenue generation. So our solution is backyard gardens meets Uber Eats meets Ethereum. What we do is we grow local communities through the use of information technology to actually help urban farmers, e-bike users, and urban consumers to exchange their skills and knowledge. And our business model clips the ticket on every transaction and creates a platform where we have more urban farmers, more e-bike.
Okay, Varun, I want to cut you off there. We'll let you have a little bit of extra time, but it's supposed to be a bit of a tighter pitch format than that. And so
I think that's it.
Okay, well, perfect. And you got most of it in at least, but I just wanted to be fair for time. Paloma, do you want to give some feedback first?
Yeah, so congrats on the pitch. It did feel like you were reading a little bit, but it wasn't. It was easy to get it, but it was way over 1 minute, right? I was waiting for Dustin to cut you off because that just felt like way more than a minute. I don't know exactly how much it was, but it was way past.
Yeah.
So I love what you're doing. I buy organic box delivery monthly, like it comes every 15 days, and it's always a hustle to know where it's coming from, to find good producers, and then it doesn't come with my product. So I do feel like there's a lot of people like myself, they're looking for better solutions to buy their produce. But it felt to me that you're trying to solve a lot of problems. So when you talked about the just the one side of your solution, which is the people that are buying, you already listed two main problems, which is knowing where your food comes from and not having access financially to organics or something like that. So I do feel like at this stage, at this early stage, is always good to, as Sergio mentioned, one of his feedbacks, to find a beachhead strategy, to find one specific kind of user that has one specific kind of problem and then solve that very well. And help that. And then if it's going to be with blockchain, Ethereum, maybe for tracking, but not to get that attached to the technology itself, and to try to figure out who is the ideal customer, what's their real problem, and how am I going to solve that very well. And it just felt like there was a lot of moving parts. So I think you have something very good there. We'd love to hear more and see what you guys are doing already. But maybe converging to one specific problem of one user, and then building that whole network of producers, of transportation with the bikers to solve that specific problem you found.
Thank you.
So Varun, and this is, I'm gonna use you as a just to make a general comment here, but be very careful with some of these buzzwords in technology, with blockchain and IoT and things like that, because then we were expecting to really understand how the solution, how the problem is linked to those technologies, and in your pitch, I even with extended pitch was more than 1 minute, I think it was not clear to me. I mean, how you're going to be using that technology, how that kind of your food platform differentiates from others just because of the use of that technology, right? I mean, and again, I've been in technology 20 years, so it's not like but just be careful. And in general, I mean, if you're gonna use some of these words because it's attractive, it sometimes can make the opposite effect, because I still don't understand it, and then I don't know what the link is between your solution and the technology, right? So and the other thing is, I think as was mentioned before by Paloma, I think is there's a lot of things. You started by mentioning that you are gonna help the farmers, but then you start talking about the customers. So it was hard to follow, and I think you really have to simplify it. Make sure that you have a story, as we have mentioned before, and try to narrow it down to something very specific that you're making your pitch on, right? So, and again, 1 minute or even more than 1 minute is difficult. So it just takes practice, and you have to really figure out how you condense in 1 minute what you really want to say, and just pick the attention of the audience, so that you get more time, you buy more time, as Sergio was saying, and get more time with whoever you are going to be pitching this to.
Thank you.
Hey, Varun.
You're welcome.
You were kind of the opposite of James, you know, instead of making sure it's clear, concise, short, and sweet, you were the opposite, you know, you were long, tedious, you were repeating the same thing, but like 2-3 times, but with different kind of frameworks. And at the end of the day, it was like, you know, okay, I got it the first time, you know, can you get to the bottom and explain how it is? So try to avoid that, you know, it's better to be clear and concise than long and tedious and repetitive. I think as Paloma said, and Ignacio, and echoing both of them, you're trying to do too many things, and you're not explaining how or how you're solving the problem. So it's problem solution, you know, and you kind of mentioned different problems, and this platform seems to be complex. So, you know, first you're saying, I'm going to be an exchange of skills and knowledge. So then I hear, that's the first sentence, here mentoring. Okay, is it kind of a network of urban farmers and they're going to be acting as mentors between urban farmers so they can improve their backyard production? Is it this? And then I was putting in my head, it's going to be maybe a commission base per hour. How is going to be the business model? You never mentioned. And then you add, it's going to be transportation. Okay, but transportation where? Transportation to supermarkets or transportation to the consumer. Then it gets more complicated, you know, and then, okay, but and who's going to handle all this? Because, you know, you need to have a facility to store, you know, to take everything, or it's going to be selling like a couple of tomatoes every time with a bike. Complicated. Oh, okay, maybe he's not mentioning supermarkets or the panels 511. It's a French word here in Canada. Is it for consumer? Okay, but he never mentioned how it's going to get the consumers. So how are you going to meet supply and demand? Then if it's supply and demand, that's pretty much a logistics platform. He's in a supply chain business. So is he in the mentoring educational side? Is he in the logistics supply chain? Too much. So keep it short, keep it clear, make sure you're solving one problem, one solution, and then you're expanding.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Varun. That's exactly how I was going to end it with what Sergio said. Sometimes we have what we call the rule of one, right? Solving one problem, you know, for one customer. And I think, yeah, looking at that and the elevator pitch template will help you kind of create that specificity and yeah, not have this creep of different problems for different customers. But thank you so much, Varun, for pitching and joining us today. We're up against the clock. We're over the hour, so we don't really have time left for our audience in the chat. But we want to say thank you again to all of our founders who pitched. Thank you to everybody for joining. Thank you for giving feedback in the chat. Thank you to each of our panelists who joined us here this evening, Paloma, Ignacio, and Sergio. And yeah, stay healthy, everybody out there. And thank you again for joining us tonight.